So I took it.
You generally need that much.
Sharon, it's John Simmons here. Just want to say you don't want this.
And make sure you use the good angle so it's not no, don't do that.
Okay, straight up.
Nobody does it. So tell me, how is it now?
It's good. I can see your feet.
Yeah, you don't have to joke, but if you want,
I do have a foot fetish.
I got a big foot cleavage.
It looks good. Yeah, I know you're ready.
Hey everyone, how are you? Thank you for coming. Woo! I am so glad that you're here. I know that it's Wednesday and you come out and it's warm. We're going to have a great meetup. So I'm going to read this. Welcome to Marketing, Automation, and AI Meetup. We're happy that you could make it today. Thanks for coming. Before we get started, I wanted to give a shout out to Fernando Labastida. He's my co-host. He's in Mexico right now, and he's listening live stream. And also a shout out to my friend Daniel. He also couldn't be here today. And now just a few housekeeping issues that I have to share before we talk about our featured speaker, before I introduce him. The meetup goes from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. And then our featured speaker comes on from 7 to 7:45, and then we have 15 minutes for Q&A. We have a hard stop at 8:30. Capital Factory closes the doors, and then we got to get out of here. So I want to give a word of thanks to our sponsor, Capital Factory. They give us this room for free, and it's great. And Capital Factory is the center for entrepreneurs. Check out their website for membership opportunities. I also want to thank Elijah Singer, our Capital Factory liaison. He's here to answer any questions about Capital Factory membership. And if you parked in the building, he will validate. He'll give you a ticket, and then it's $8. So we'll get a sticker from him before the end of the meetup. And now let's get to our speaker. We are thrilled to host Darby Rollins, the visionary founder of Gen AI University and the world's first Jasper AI user. Dive deep into the world of, Dive deep into the world of generative AI and discover how it can revolutionize your business strategies. In this dynamic session with Darby, he will unveil cutting-edge techniques to streamline your market research and content creation, providing you with the insights needed for smarter business decisions. I want to share Darby's background. He's a leader in the field of AI-driven marketing, has been at the cutting edge of generative AI since 2021. He has helped entrepreneurs, creators, marketers, and business leaders around the world harness the power of AI to grow their business. In his current role as founder and CEO of Gen AI University, Darby is a trusted source of knowledge and actionable AI implementation. His market sauce methodology, which streamlines content creation and market research for better business decisions, has been widely adopted by his community, customers, and clients, backed by numerous case studies and demonstrated in his book, in his book right here, Buyer's Brief. He actively speaks and hosts events to help entrepreneurs and business leaders implement this system in Austin and around the country. As the creator of MarketSauce.ai, Darby has transformed the way businesses understand their customers' buying behaviors, and he's ready to share this expertise with you. So I could go on and on, but I'm going to let him come up and talk about his information and share it with you. So without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Darby Rollins. Woo! Show the book.
Yeah, voila, the book.
Here, we have books over here if anybody's interested.
25 to be exact. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight, and Sharon for inviting me and introducing me. Truly a pleasure to be here. I live downtown. It's always great to be able to come and speak at one of these events when the opportunity comes up. Today I want to start off with a story of an entrepreneur and a speaker known by the name of Gigi. His name is Gigi, full name Garrett Gravison. He is a professional speaker and keynote, speaks on keynotes all around the world. Interesting character. He's actually visited, one of the few people on this planet right now that's actually visited all 197 countries of the world, like every single country out there right now. And I met Gigi at this guy back here, Austin Distel's bachelor party back in February of this year. Of all places to meet some guy that's traveled all around the world at a bachelor party in Cancun. And I got to connecting with Gigi, and we were talking about where he was at with his business, and he's a speaker, he's got big ideas, an inspiring guy. And Gigi was kind of stuck, and I think he's got a problem that a lot of us can relate to when it comes to having ideas and knowing where to go next from them. Gigi was stuck with having the success of his 197 countries, traveling worldwide and starting to pick up a speaking career, but he wants to take things to the next level. He's already worked training corporate leaders at companies like Chick-fil-A and speaking on stages around leadership, but he's looking to take things a step further and refine his message, but he was stuck when it comes to using tools like AI, when it comes to clarifying his message. That idea was still stuck in his head, and he was having trouble getting that out on paper. Who here can relate when you look at AI tools? And I know we've got people from all around the different ranges, so I don't want to assume that anyone who here has never touched an AI tool before. Everyone probably ChatGPT, right? Who here would say they're like an intermediate level, kind of like I know how to use these tools? Who here would say that they're pretty advanced in that? Okay, cool. So we got a good mix across the board. The problem Gigi specifically was running into, and one that I know I've ran into myself, was that he wanted to use these tools to figure out how he could grow his speaking business. He didn't know what tool to use. He was overwhelmed by all the different tools out there. He felt stuck trying to figure out, how do I even put a campaign together in the first place? I got all these people saying that AI can help me do all these things, but I need to figure out what my message is first and foremost before I do any of that else. And I said, Gigi, I can actually help you with that. I wrote a book on it. So we got to talking, and we were talking about Gigi and his experience, and one thing that really stuck out to me with Gigi was his belief that I shared with him, in that we all have a story to tell. We all have something that we can share inside of us, and we all have something that we can make a great impact with, and we all have these ideas that we can use to help bring other people up, to do good in the world, and to ultimately help other humans and connecting with other humans. We all have that story, whether your audience is small, whether it's massive on big stages. How we communicate our message to the world is a massive impact on how the relationships we build and how we go about this thing that we call life. And so when talking with Gigi and sharing with him a bit about what I'm going to be demonstrating with you guys here today, is that it all starts with who you're talking to and understanding your ideal target audience and getting crystal clear on that and confident in your ability to speak to the right person, to know what makes them tick, what are their pain points, their desires, their fears, what's keeping them up at night, what are people saying that they might be taking as truth but is actually a myth that's not true. What are some potential segments of this market that you might not have even considered? What are some people that you could connect with your message, your product, or your service that you could make an impact for that could be right there inside of your backyard? And so the process that we've developed over the past few years is called the market sauce method. And what it does is help with getting inside the mind of the buyer to ultimately helping you make better business decisions, strategic, getting yourself out of the weeds of in-depth market research to kind of taking a higher level approach or training your team to do this. And it's a process that I'm going to share with you today. For everyone here that has ChatGPT on your phone, you're going to be able to interact, and I'm going to be doing some live demos with you. This is free for you guys to use. It's called the Mentalist GPT. If you go to marketsauce.ai/mentalist, or you scan the QR code, it'll open up what I think right now everyone, even if you don't even need a login for ChatGPT to be able to run this. I think that's the case. But if you don't have ChatGPT on your phone by now, you probably should, especially if you're here in this room. So once you pull this GPT up, you'll be prompted by a blank screen and a few prompts. But the key here, and the key with Gigi that we had to, when I was talking with him about how we're going to start narrowing this down, because you could speak to so many different people, but if you talk to everyone, messages are just going to go all over the place. We need to get really focused. So I said, Gigi, I need you to answer these 3 questions, and this is what you here with us right now can start to do to action this workflow right now today in your life and business. Is how do you describe yourself? I am a person who does X. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business owner, I run a yoga practice. Whatever you do, tell ChatGPT before you press enter a little bit about what you, how you describe yourself. Then I want you to describe your product or service. Now with the product or service, I would recommend starting much more focused than a giant dumps of paragraphs and too much information. We've actually seen great success with as little as 32 words, just a couple sentences, who you are, like what you do, how you serve your audience, and then additional context of what makes you different, what makes you stand out from the crowd, what's your unique selling proposition, you may have heard it called. How are you different, and what makes you unique from anybody else out there? Provide a little bit of this information, and out will pop a structured output, because this GPT actually is trained on the instructions that are inside of this book. For those of you that have set up your own custom GPTs, you get a PDF of it inside of a ChatGPT account. You can set it up in the knowledge base, you can give it custom instructions. It's actually quite simple to set up. If anyone tries to make it sound like rocket science, there's a lot of levels to it, but very quickly you could take a book that you own or a PDF or anything and start to interact with it through one of these custom GPTs. Once you put this information in, you'll start to get a series of outputs here, and they tend to go, sometimes they don't always start the exact same. I mean, AI, sometimes when you say AI is going to AI, it's going to go off the rails. That's why we have to feed it very specific instructions to keep it on point. But taking your unique context in, you're able to get an idea of like, okay, how do I condense this down into a few core bullet points? What are the segments of my market? What are the demographics, psychographics, behaviors, common traits? And what this book generates and how we build out these blueprints, which then expand into full buyer's briefs, is a series of focused prompts based on the same level of context that you, Siri, quiet. Not you, Siri. Focused prompts that you're going to hone in and build on top of it, because think of it like you're building the foundation first with who your markets, the demographics and psychographics, and everything is going to ultimately focus on you helping your customers and your clients solve one thing, getting them to their primary goal. But between them right now and their primary goal is a lot of sharks in the water, so to speak. And the sharks are the problems, the things that are negative, that are holding them back from making decisions, or obstacles that they haven't addressed yet, or problems that they have. And so it's our job as business owners, as entrepreneurs, to help our customers and clients cross the shaky waters, to overcome the sharks, and to beat out those, I don't even want to call them objections. It's just helping people with like understanding how they can like get from where they're at now to where they want to be. And what this brief and this blueprint process does is helping you with focus in exactly on this person. Who is it? What is their problem right now? How are you going to offer them something that's unique and different from what they've already tried? And how are you going to communicate that with them? And I'm going to show you now with the GPT as a demonstration, and we'll take some examples from the crowd. I do this all the time, so it doesn't need to be, I can pull stuff out from the spot or put Rachel on the spot with any of your business ideas. So you guys are looking at this right now inside of your business, and so I'd like to start off first with, is it anyone's birthday here? No birthdays in the house. Anybody's birthday in July? All right, we got a July birthday here.
Yeah.
Are you open to sharing a bit about maybe a business or a product idea that you've got to kind of see it in action?
Yeah.
All right, well, can you first tell me your name?
Jaya.
Jaya, great to meet you. Jaya, what is your business? Can you give me just a little bit of a blurb about it?
Yeah, so I offer healing meditations with sound, and I'm wanting to learn more about working with organizations, so I'm really curious how I can find who to go to, what their pain points are, so corporate wellness, leadership,
Okay.
yeah, even like in collaboration with other people, like ceremonial, medicine ceremonies even for leadership. Yeah. I play a lot of different instruments, and I'm a very unique sound healer because I use so many instruments in my voice, so I want to figure out how to differentiate myself from kind of the average weekend workshop sound healer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. From the average weekend workshop sound healer, is that what you said?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I know
you
exactly
can
what you
and
mean
buy
more
some
than-
bowls off Amazon and
Totally.
they're ready to go.
Don't attack me
I know
like
what
that.
you're talking
We
about.
Sorry.
No, I know.
All right, so let's focus in now. This is just talking, right? We're having a conversation. You've probably heard the term conversational AI out there, but this is giving context that's going to help us with focusing in this GPT. It might go off the rails the first time. I don't know. I'm always very like, well, like AI, let's see what it does with this recipe, but we've done it enough times that my fingers are crossed that it's going to go good. So let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. So the key is that if it's way off track at the start, the whole rest of it's just going to be trash from what you're looking for. It needs to be aligned from the beginning with where you know that it's going to be going as someone that has subject matter expertise or some level of understanding and competence that like this is going in the right direction. And so you can see how it starts to break down what we're looking at here from your product service description. You provide healing medication services utilizing sound therapy, incorporating a variety of instruments and ceremonial medicine practices. Your unique approach differentiates you from the typical weekend sound healers by offering a more profound holistic healing experience. Now, who are we talking to? Well, potentially corporate wellness and leadership. And so what might these demographics look like at a high level? Maybe a wide age range of 30 to 60, all genders, urban areas of high density of corporate offices, like in major cities, income, middle to upper class, college educated, often with advanced degrees, occupation here, corporate executives, HR professionals, team leaders, wellness program coordinators. These are all different people. They have different motivations, and they all have different roles inside of their organization that are driving their buying decisions. Depending on which direction we want to go here is going to steer the conversation inside of this thread for us to build out a blueprint that gives us that deeper understanding of what is going on inside of this market. And so we can see the psychographics now, open-minded attitudes, health conscious, and so I'm going to look at you as the user inputting here, like does this sound on track? Is this believable? Or is this totally off base before we continue moving on from here?
Yeah, it sounds pretty believable, for sure, and I think those are probably some of the role names, and definitely the psychographics. I mean, it obviously has to be an organization that believes in those kinds of things to actually want to offer that to their people and find value in that.
Totally. And so if all is good here, and again, like this is one rendition of this. We have people that run these dozens of times for different campaigns or different projects that are just building these as initiatives that are going to feed their emails, their marketing copy, their sales pages, and their communications if they are looking to go and reach this market. And so now, it's going into giving sort of what's your business role in this case. How are you going to help them? And so we say provider transformative healing experience, be a go-to provider, analyzing the needs, wants, behaviors, and pain points. So we can see like what are some of their needs. So they need to manage the stress and reduction for their employees, create a better experience there. Enhancing focus and productivity, improving mental health and emotional resilience, and unique, engaging wellness activities. And so as we're scanning down through this, again, these are all these ingredients that are going and making up people's buying decisions. Is your content right now speaking to these, if these are the people that you want to ultimately be doing more business with and having more conversations that are more relevant to the things that they are thinking about? And this is just talking straight up with one simple prompt. The real, not really a hack, but the trick with these AIs is to build out a content database and some knowledge that is factual from maybe employee surveys, data that you're gathering inside of your CRM, and organizing that content first, and then working with a tool like this to analyze that content and then give you even more refined understanding. Because at the end of the day, marketing, we're all just like trying to make calculated guesses anyways. How can we like test faster? How can we get our ideas out there in a way that's actually going to cut through some of the noise? And again, once you are getting this content, where is it going? Emails, ads, LinkedIn messages, LinkedIn articles, YouTube videos. Again, going back down into the additional levels, this thing gets pretty comprehensive. There's a lot that you can do with this, and there's a lot of directions that you can go from just this initial prompt. And secondary goals, all things that are critical to be addressing inside of any sort of marketing campaign. But at the end of the day, marketers, entrepreneurs, anyone in business, I believe should be leading with empathy and be caring about the people that we're serving. And so while it's great to have these type of AI tools that can help us fleshing out these ideas, it's even better that it opens up our bandwidth to be able to make these connections more meaningful in person, whether it's online, virtual, or you're going to meetups at a group, or you want to test out a product in a new market that you've never even considered before. A lot of angles that you can take with this, but at least in my experience, and I know from Gigi's experience, being able to see something like this on paper, he already knew a lot of this in his head, but being able to get it out and be able to have another perspective, albeit AI, it helped him with moving forward, and a form of writer's block, as any speaker would have. He spent a ton of time prepping for this. You give him an angle for any number of these objections that he can use as a weapon in his tool belt when he is creating content, testing messaging on stage, right? All of it is an iterative process that's going to go back into here, which is why we call it the market sauce method, because you go through this once, you enrich it with more data, more content, and more context, you're going to get even more dialed in responses. And so now we've got one version of this, and I've got loads of trainings, and we've got 25 books here for those of you that want to grab one of these, but tons of resources about how to go through and create not just blueprints from here, but how to actually go on and create automations using OpenAI and a tool that we use called make.com to do it at scale in your business. And I see a head nodding. Are you familiar with Make? And cool.
No idea how to make it work, but I know what it is.
I will tell you this much. Make.com is a powerful automation tool that I would never recommend just going to a tool like Make.com before you have something of a recipe or a proven process that you can do over and over again with AI. But if you have it, and like again, I teach our community off this process because it's foundational for anything that you're gonna do when you create content. You need to know who you're talking to. We have people in our community that go and take these instructions, and we have a training on how to go into make.com and then how to set up a basic thing where you can put an input in a type form or a Google form or Google Sheet, and then you can have the whole thing automated to create a version of these blueprints for you. And if you can do that with this, that skill translates to basically being able to build almost anything with that. And so if anyone's interested in like building more of the automation side of things here, happy to talk more and support you in that regard. If you just want the easy, quick, fast way to do it to get things going, this GPT is the way to go when it comes to that. And so taking this information, we can now interact with it a bit more. And I can ask it questions, and I could start to dialogue and discourse, and I could say things like, okay, so what are the other targets in my market, and tell me a bit about them. Right, conversational again, but now that the thread is primed, so to speak, to know what we're talking about, it's as simple as asking a question. And we get an idea, like, oh, maybe we want to focus on healthcare providers and facilities. Maybe we want to focus on educational institutions. Maybe we want to consider retreat centers and wellness resorts. That seems like a top of mind one that we'd want to focus in on. Mental health professionals, corporate event planners, fitness wellness centers, community centers or nonprofits. At the end of the day, if you don't take anything away from this process, is the fact that if you think you've got 1 or 3 or 5 market segments right now, I'd be willing to bet you money that you've got a whole lot more that you could be serving. And maybe you just haven't considered all of them right there. Maybe you have, and it's worth testing out different angles with that. But at least to get an idea start, having that clarity and confidence in that you know who you're actually speaking to and what's going on in terms of problems that they're dealing with, or what are the goals that they have inside of their business, and how can you address that with you and what you do as a product or service. Or maybe you're a freelancer, or you work inside for employee retention and understand your employees better. A lot of different ways that you could skin this, but ultimately it all comes down to who you're talking to, and then how can you communicate your message with them in a way that opens more conversations, and those conversations lead to conversion and other things that hopefully either go to growing your business directly or leading to other forms of referrals and things of that nature. And so, is anyone else interested in doing a live demo with your tool? I don't have a whole lot to do in terms of additional demonstrations of this with just me. The point I really want to drive home with all of this is that if you have an idea, if you have a product or service, and if you have a market that you want to get that product in front of, you need to have some form of marketing blueprint that helps align who you're speaking to and gives you a head start on how to talk to them. Because if you're not doing that, there are a lot of people that are doing this process right now in some way, shape, or form. And it's just something that I think that is critical when it comes to creating content at any kind of level of scale, or for a lot of other different, what's the word I'm looking for here? Other applications within businesses and understanding employees and behavior in that regard, and your own first-party customer data that you're looking to analyze and understand who your best customers are within your own buyers list, and segmenting those buyers lists so you can create more targeted campaigns around every specific persona. One guy that's using this process right now as an agency does SEO. He's creating landing pages for one very specific type of persona, but he's doing this at a ridiculous scale. He's just making new personas for every single type of segment that he can, making new landing pages, and it's helping his conversions on those pages because people are responding back saying, hey, I feel like you were talking directly to me, which is what keywords and all that stuff, fine, but if people want to be treated like a human, and they want to know that you understand their problems, that you're there to help solve those problems. And this is the way that we found to be very effective for doing that. And I'm happy to answer any questions and otherwise.
That's sick, man. Is there any way we can see the $100 million workflow?
Yeah,
I noticed it at the top.
I could show you.
That sounds pretty interesting.
No, that's what I saw too. I was like,
$100 million workflow, man. Let's
yeah,
go.
that could
Where
be
do we
a
see
private
that?
thing.
It was on
That
your dashboard.
Your custom GPT.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding with you, man.
I can show you. I have it. It's pretty easy.
Oh, it is?
With
Well,
that GPT
sort of.
that you just did too, now can you, any normal GPT, go in there and could I say oh, this particular market, can you help me put together the text copy for a LinkedIn introduction to someone with that job title, and then they give me a sample text copy?
Yeah, so my workflow with this, and we're building out like the software that's going to help keep a lot of this outside of just doing Google Docs and ChatGPT, but stuff moves so fast here, we're just trying to get the needle moving on just getting this out, and then we're building the tech to support the whole build out as a whole other thing that we're not going to dive super deep into today. What I do is I take the outputs, I turn them into a Google document that I will save as a PDF or a Word file, and so I'll have this as like my source of truth for this avatar segment at this particular time. And then whether I'm using ChatGPT or if I'm using Claude, which I use quite often. If you guys haven't heard about Claude from Anthropic, they are a powerful resource that I would definitely put up there to be fighting right alongside ChatGPT for delivering service. You know Claude?
Yeah, my name is Andre.
Yeah.
So may I ask you, like, I'm just trying to understand how different to like using plain ChatGPT. Is it some sort of plugin that also on top of ChatGPT? So basically, if I ask the same question with the ChatGPT, is it going to be something different?
Yeah, great question. So the question, just for anyone that didn't hear, is like using this, how is this different from ChatGPT? Basically, you just go to ChatGPT, can I just ask these questions? To a degree, you can, but to get these type of outputs in this structure, the way that you just put the content in and had it spit out, it's doing that because this book specifically is in a GPT setting behind it. And so it's uploaded, it has the knowledge in its head, it knows the book's contents, and it knows to start in a specific section. How this literally looks like, because this is the book, is, I didn't put the first part because the first part of the book is just an example of inputs and outputs. This is what it's referring to. And so when you put this information in, this particular GPT is running through these series of prompts. Like, so who is your target audience? And these are some like thought starter prompts that you'd want to get going as well. But it has this in so that if you don't answer something and it's unclear, usually it's like, hey, you need to give me a little bit more context so that I know where we're going here. But again, like the better you can get that first initial seed prompt, the better the outputs are going to go from there. And so the more you kind of build on top of that, the better that your content brief is going to be, the better the outputs are going to start to be out the gate. It really starts right here when we want to fill out the product, the segment, the niche, and the context, which is essentially what I just asked you in that question. You filled it out. This is where this GPT is assuming a role. And so this is the difference right now, and that you could you could literally copy this entire first chapter, paste it in the ChatGPT, and it would operate in a very similar instance. And people do that, but then they usually are going and building their thing inside of make.com. Instructions, role and goal, acting as a world-class marketer and customer researcher, specializing in marketing psychology and human behavior to drive business decisions or buying decisions. Analyze the market segments for specific products and services based on the provided context, focusing on detailed audience analysis. This includes understanding core demographic, psychographic needs, wants, desires, behaviors, and pain points with an emphasis on the psychosocial elements that drive the market segments. And I go on to say, I want you to start with a high-level overview and then give it some constraints so that it knows to stay in these specific lanes. And Austin, I see your hand is raised as well, but these are the instructions that are going to lead into the rest of the content. What's up, Austin?
So I hear in communities like seasoning the chat, right? Like you want to put all the context in ChatGPT before you actually give directions.
Yeah.
So basically, your book, which is, we can all see how thick it is, that is what you season the chat with when it comes to your GPT. And so it's basically like a super prompt, but we don't have to, fill in all that stuff.
Yeah, this GPT like acts as effect. I haven't called it that, but like kind of like a super prompt behind it that is giving it the guardrails for what it's supposed to follow, so that you don't have to go and copy and paste all of these prompts in every time. Now I will caveat that with when I'm running this and like I'm building something out for a campaign I want my eyes on really closely, I will usually use that GPT, and then I'll still go very specifically down. I'll use these prompts, but these prompts down here are starting to execute based on all of the context that I have. You can still direct it with your own individual prompts in here. I like to, if I know that I need to really nail something, I might want to run the goals 3 or 4 times, because sometimes it gives me a goal and I'm like, that's not really where I'm going at here, or it starts to kind of go off track. And so I start to stack the different prompts in here, but you don't need to, as I just demonstrated. If you just go straight to the GPT, I'm just sharing ways that you can go on top of that. You've got the recipe built into this GPT specifically, but that is the recipe like any chef. Give the same chef, 5 chefs the same recipe, they could all potentially come out different because of how the chefs are interacting with the tools. Yes?
So you have recipes for specific questions, right?
Yeah,
Specific market research type of questions, like, is it like a list of those questions?
yeah, and so the recipe here is all of the strings of all of the prompts that we've kind of stacked together in this process. And so you can see how I write this with the little brackets for reference points. That's to kind of just set the fields and have it know that, hey, anytime that we're referencing product or service right here, it's referencing our context as we're exporting everything. And then all of these, I would call these individual prompts. Like this by itself, topic, a broad term for the primary goal related to the avatar and niche. The little caret signals a command, which is like do the prompt. What is the topic of primary goal? List 10 well-researched ideas. Well, this topic is going to feed off of this prompt, which is giving me the primary goal. So our primary goal is going to set the table for all of the rest of the outputs that we're going to see here, and that goes this far. Like,
So
I mean,
is the context memory, is it long enough to remember that whole book?
technically, right now, I believe that ChatGPT is going to reference everything in this, and it can see it all, and it's not going to do it all in one go. And
Yeah.
sometimes it starts to veer off, or it
Yeah.
stops and kind of pauses.
But isn't
So-
doesn't Claude hold more? Like, I know a lot of people will use Claude for something longer like this. What's
Yeah.
your, I mean.
It depends on the situation, but right now, once ChatGPT came out with its million token context window, that gives you basically any expert book that you would want that it's going to reference in like 30,000 words at least. So you can plug that into a GPT and it's going to understand it. Something like Claude, the same way, you would go and attach the file, it's going to reference it. Where was it going with that? Yeah, I mean, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, the number that it might have looked back might have been different. The direction it's going is that we're going to be able to upload a whole lot more context, and it's going to cost even less over time. And so even like 2 years ago when we would run these, I literally built this entire recipe stack out, prompt by prompt by prompt, and we used Jasper for doing it because at the early days of when Jasper was out, there were severe limits to how they were even able to work with OpenAI and give you those level of windows. But now that OpenAI and ChatGPT have evolved so much, and they've grown and grown in the last few years, you can see the battle and OpenAI is like, here's this big cool announcement, and then 2 days later Anthropic's like, hey, 2 million window token context, like, let's go. Like, and so now it's like, okay, well, now that we can basically reference any amount of content to a reasonable degree when we're working with a process like this, you're able to reference a lot of this material. And so when companies have a lot more context, like tons and tons of customer data, that's when you need to go look at building your own, like, I think the proper term is probably RAG model or something along those lines. I have a tech guy that actually does a lot of that super technical building of things, but it's basically building a database that you can store content that it's going to be able to talk to back and forth and give you even higher levels of ability to reference more and more context without getting too technical.
I
Yes.
have a question. And
Yeah.
I may be veering off. So you did reference make.com and talked about automation. Is that something that you can share a quick overview, or is that another day?
We generally don't like share a ton of like how the back end works with
Okay,
like what
okay.
we're doing for like the product side development.
Okay.
But the trainings that we've got in our book are like I'm pretty
That
sure
will
one of them
show
is
you
on
how
that.
you connect
Yeah, so like,
with .com?
and I'm not trying to make it sound cryptic, because you're
No,
just like,
I get it.
I don't
'Cause I know
have
it's a
a
whole
demonstration
different-
with it. But basically you start up, and there's tons of really great tutorials on Make beyond what I do.
We have a really great community.
Yeah,
right now,
and there's,
honestly,
yeah.
for no code to no code systems.
Yeah.
I probably obviously that comes in at a higher price point as compared to what Make can give you. But yeah, I've also worked with the teams.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a definite alternative to Zapier I've seen in a lot of cases, and a lot more, I guess, more affordable per what you would call a Zap. So if you're building something out at scale with AI and like sending a ton of information back, it's definitely something that I would recommend looking into. And again, like lots of really great trainings and resources out there beyond just what we have in the book. So,
And what use cases do you use Claude for versus ChatGPT?
I usually use Claude for breaking down transcripts and analyzing recordings. I do like a lot of customer or client interviews or mastermind calls that I'll turn into different pieces of content. I've just, for the last 6 months or so, especially with Claude, and now that they've come back out with Sonnet 3.5, I've noticed that for really intricate and detailed transcripts where I want to like dig and pick apart certain areas, I just work better with it. And to be honest with you, sometimes I get into zones where I'm really focused on OpenAI and ChatGPT, and we're doing stuff with like that. And then so there's sometimes where I don't even do a lot of work with Claude for a few weeks, and then they drop a huge update, and I'm just like, okay, let's go check this out. And like a week ago, they came out with artifacts or something like that is like helping you with being able to code apps with React and like writing out scripts. And of course, it's helpful to know how to code to be able to best utilize that stuff. But it's just pretty wild where the tools are at right now, I think, in general. And so I don't use Gemini a lot. I know that's another popular one. I think, frankly, there's a degree where you know what works for you in your workflow, and like you need to kind of shut out some of the shiny object that's in this space, because there's probably 15 tools that got launched on Product Hunt since I got up here to talk to you guys. But yeah, I mean, yeah, just experiment is what I would say. Yeah.
Hey, we're solopreneurs. I came in and built an app, and I did my own marketing research and did my marketing and my interviews, and then you come up with your marketing plan. So what I look for when I talk to other entrepreneurs and other people that do what I do, I always look for confirmation that I'm going in the right direction. And I sort of see this as a possibility of giving you a confirmation of your marketing that you already have established. But like you said, the analogy, you can give a guy, the cook or the chef, 5 recipes, 5 chefs, and you get 5 different tastes, right? So do you see this as being a way of confirming your marketing plan? If you put in these goals, is it going to come out pretty much what is it going to be something that you can say, well, I'm way off based on what this AI came up with in my marketing plan versus what I've already established?
Yeah.
Confirmation of your marketing plan is what I'm asking. Is this a tool to use for that?
I think certainly that's an application for it, and yeah, I was on the right track. This confirms the research that I've been doing. I mean, it's always going to help when you're talking to your market. Like, I'm not like saying that anyway. Some people just like want to use these tools and then never actually go out and do anything with the product. But if you are having conversations and you're hearing this stuff, and then it's also showing up in these type of reports, you're like, maybe I'm onto something. And again, it's like the more user input that you can bring into it is going to help with then like recycling and feeding that back into your marketing material. But yeah, a lot of people will do this before they even start testing a market and just making sure that they're like even considering the right opportunities. Usually what happens when they're doing that is that they say like, oh, well, like I didn't even think that we could target these people, but yeah, we could totally throw together a landing page for that and see how it does. Again, depending on like budget and ad spend, that's where a lot of difference between this, like, you know, organic budget versus like these companies that are doing crazy amount of ads. And so, yeah.
Why didn't you go to the next step and do the content creation? Throw this in and then it runs the content creation for you. Does it do that?
Yeah, so this, because it has the book, it's not going to create visual graphics right now, but it does have what we would call micro content scripts, and that's section 3 or 4, I believe, of the book. And I can go grab that prompt and show you how it would go in here. And so, like, for example, if you knew that you wanted a bunch of snippets for your social media or Instagram captions, I'll just go down and copy and get this. Like, this prompt is structured where it's like, okay, now that we've got a blueprint, let's create micro content to just get in front of them in a really easy bite-sized way to do it. This prompt will help with generating, quotes, captivating image caption and that sort of thing. And so once you have your blueprint, because you've, what did you say, Austin? You added the sauce to the seasoning. Once you've seasoned the chat, and again, if you already have a blueprint, you just jump into a new chat if you wanted to, add the blueprint so that it knows who we're talking to, and then pop that prompt in, and now it's going to start creating content like so, thought-provoked quotes, and it's going to be aligned towards sound healing and the wellness and workspace, and angled towards this this particular segment of the market.
Yeah, I'm all like, can you send me this whole conversation?
I'll get it to you.
You can do it.
I'm gonna jump in really
Yeah.
quick. I actually utilize this exact blueprint for a brand called Happy Bees, a vaginal supplement brand. As you can imagine, it's very niche.
Wow.
Very particular. It's great, but the thing that we were kind of having a really big problem with is that we had a lot of different products in the stack where one was digestive enzymes, right? Greens, right? One was pre-probiotics for women, that's a whole lot of different things. One was cranberry seed packs for UTI prevention. So one thing that we had that I was trying to figure out was kind of segmenting between all of our different audience segments, which concept, title, thinking, content worked well. And we actually applied a lot of the different learnings that came out from this stack, and we did a lot of testing in Meta, TikTok, things like that, and we found a lot of organic reach and pull worked well. But we found that a lot of churn actually, I don't know, there's just a lot of different things that came with it, and we were essentially able to put a lot of this in market, and we figured out that we had a lot of different customer segments that we were not really thinking about when it came down to the nitty-gritty of everything for product specific, and can kind of be, I guess, attributed to services as well. That's like kind of the thinking there, where not every service is created equal, even though it's under the same kind of umbrella, right? So we found that to be really helpful, and I found that I actually had a winning headline recently from this, which I thought was hilarious. It was like bye-bye BV women, like bacterial vaginosis, things like that, and it ended up working really, really well for us and went viral, which is kind of cool.
What did it go viral on? Social media?
I'm sorry?
A specific social media platform, or what did it go?
Oh yeah, Meta and TikTok specifically. We
Okay.
have a lot of founder videos that our CEO has put out that have worked really, really well for us, but like we found that a lot of the niche concentrated content per product really worked well. So it was fun, it was cool. Nice to test out.
Another example when you say services comes to mind is real estate agents. I mean, do their best work when they're working with clients, and typically don't want to get stuck in the weeds of marketing and that follow-up and all the things that go along with being a professional real estate agent. You need to be able to market yourself and do that. And so we see like agents, a great use case is, okay, you have this buyer, okay, they want this house in this neighborhood. Well, what are maybe the top 10 problems that this person's going to have? And, again, like there's trainings for real estate specifically, but, one application of like, okay, well, you're doing this, you need to reach these people, they probably have this problem. Are you creating some content around that problem to address it in your marketing? If not, maybe you should. Before, it would probably never get done. Literally, I was at a conference with mostly real estate agents, and it was like, who here is like following up their leads actively and producing content actively? And it was like 20% of the room, which are probably the producers. But now you've got these tools that are giving people the ability, especially small teams, staying lean, tapping into these tools to leverage testing, getting feedback, and then, oh wow, that one popped off, that's great. Let's focus on this angle with this market and go a little bit deeper and deeper and deeper. Hence the name, the market sauce. Every part of the market's got a different flavor that makes them tick.
Two things I've seen once you're at the step, I found the next to do is ask it to have some discernment. And so I'll go like, first, query Reddit and other forums that people intimately share. You need to talk about your audience. Where do they intimately share the struggles that they're having? And figure out like which of these keywords show up the most. And then tell me what are the top 5 or 10 from what you first gave would probably highest match to create like the most probable, 5 headlines to try. And so the more that you can have it review itself with new knowledge or finding rooms in its memory, right? So it's already read most of the internet. So if you ask it to go to the room of Reddit or go to the room of LinkedIn, it can start to think in that context and re-review itself to give you a higher probability of success.
And
I
it's
found
awesome.
that,
Yeah.
like in due diligence and like reviewing investments, it really helps to, in the buying persona here, is to have it give probabilities of success next to just its creative.
There we go. We're in the sound healing Reddit form. Yeah, I mean,
And so now you're getting actual customer feedback. Imagine if you went and talked to 30 customers. Well, guess what? 30 customers already exist out there. They're on Reddit, dumping their hearts out to the world. So here, you're using that knowledge now to repeat and re-review itself.
I wonder if we could refine it to look for more like corporate wellness Reddits.
Now you're looking for freebies.
Oh, this is a great demo. This is a great demo.
This is a workshop. Let's go.
Just the price goes up for the document and everything. No, this is a great example though of like you get these ideas and you can go deeper. Well, how deep do you want to go with this? And if you're committed to a market, then there's a lot of layers deep then you could go to that degree. And you said, what about these Reddit threads but more focused on corporate wellness, right? And another really great tool for internet research that I've been using has been called Perplexity. Any of you guys are familiar with that? Perplexity. Yeah, it's
great.
yeah, it's pretty solid. It's crazy the way that how we're searching right now is changing so much with Google's AI recommendations and even just using ChatGPT as your search engine. I'd much rather do this than lost in a bunch of crazy affiliate articles. Oh no. Sometimes this will happen too. You'll just hit a page and it sounds super confident, but you got to check it and make sure you're in the right spot. This does not look like the right space. Pokemon Go friends. Maybe this is telling us something. Corporate wellness. Yeah, and you get to these walls and maybe it's just acting, maybe it's better to go and find another, do some other avenues for search, but you can certainly use this to help with that. Hey.
Yeah. So I'm impressed with the accuracy of the output of this because it's aligned well with my own human research, so that's promising. Use this more. With the output that it provides, being an entrepreneur who's not marketing, what would you recommend doing with that? Because I've tried various things with very limited success. So like, what do we do with this data?
What do you like selling, or what do you what would you want to market in your business right now?
Oh, for this one, it's a B2B SaaS product. So it's a photo image optimization service.
Okay. Photo image optimization service. Are you guys doing YouTube or other social media channels to get the message out?
A few LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. YouTube is something I need to do. I'm not really generating videos.
Is it like founder led, or are you posting on content on LinkedIn, or is it the business page?
Yeah, it's a business page.
Okay. So if we're looking at maybe just LinkedIn or YouTube or blog or whatever medium you're talking about, who is the target you said you're serving?
The target audience?
Yeah, the target audience here.
One of them, the ones that actually aligned very closely were the e-commerce, digital marketing agencies, travel, tours.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I were in your shoes to just have all of these different options for where you go as a B2B SaaS, I'd probably just start with focusing on one, and one that probably like looking at your best customers right now, who do you want more of? Identify their niche, and then create a blueprint around that niche, identify the top 10 problems, and then create 10 blog posts or LinkedIn articles or Instagram posts that are speaking to that type of topic. As a very kind of high level example of it is, this is all going to feed the communication that you're putting out there in the world. And so if you're doing all these social medias and blogs and stuff, you should probably have a newsletter too. A great way to test very, very fast with this type of stuff is by like what's your percentage of people opening your actual newsletters? Are they responding more to certain types of headlines? And of those headlines, are they pain focused? What type of pain are they doing? Did the people that opened actually go and purchase from you? Did they, did it open up conversation? But usually just given like the copy and the conversation is where we want to get this going. I would focus on one if you haven't really looked in, this is the people that we want, and make a campaign for that one specifically. And then it might just be a matter of a simple landing page and a thank you email for signing up for whatever they were showing for opt-in and interest. But if you needed to write like, give me a headline with 3 bullet points and a call to action to opt in to my free newsletter for, this e-commerce B2B specifically, you could spin that up. You could spin it up for like 10 different niches and test all those at once. But if you're still trying to figure out who that one audience is without overloading yourself.
I think what I see is from like, when Darby and I were writing a lot of emails for Jasper, it was all of these headlines you see on the screen are true. Which one rings more true at which moment? It's like, they're all right. They're all correct, is what I'm saying. It's like, so in your B2B SaaS, follow-up, they opt in for a free trial. Over the course of the next 30 days, they receive 10, 15 emails. And you just try different angles and see what the open rates and click rates are. And when you find one that has a surprisingly higher open rate, then you move that closer to the opt-in. And you just keep doing that over and over and over until you have like incrementally more opt-ins. I would think for B2B SaaS, email all the way. Like cold email and your B2B.
And I know we're right at 8 o'clock time. So we'll go ahead and wrap things up, guys.
And if there's any other questions.
If there's any other questions, I'll be hanging out here for a minute. I did bring a few books. If you guys feel so inclined to buy one on Amazon, we've got some here as well. I'm also happy to chat again more about how to put this book in action. It's what I do as a job these days. And thank you. Feel free to connect with me online. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I don't post as much right now. And that's just my link tree. So you guys can connect with me wherever I'm at on there. And appreciate you guys showing up.
Best presentation I've seen in a long time.
I'm glad to hear that.
Very valuable.
Yeah, and everyone that scanned the Mentalist GPT, it should save to your sidebar like you see I had other GPTs there on the side. But if you want to save that link, I don't plan on changing it anytime soon.
Is there a little mingling or Q&A? Because the post said it ended at 8:30.
Hold on, we're gonna do this.
Oh.
Dennis is gonna take a photo.
You got me on selfie mode. Okay, ready? All right, cool.
Cool, thank you.
I think we have to be out by 8:20, you said? But
Well, 8:30, that door's gotta be closed.
Okay, doors are 8:30. Okay. Because online it said this ended at 8:30.
Dude, this is great.
Take one.
I love it, man. I'm going to do it, but I'm going to buy one too. I'm Dennis.
Appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go ahead and grab me one. No, but I did bring Sharpies if you want to.
Here. Say something.
He's a good guy, I'll tell you right now. He's a good salesperson.
All right, you writing a book?
And then that'll add.
Basically, everybody sells.
Yeah. Very cool. When's it? Cool. Appreciate it.
Probably need that here.
Yeah.
Are you giving these away or do you have to buy them?
Feel free to buy it. I like to give them away too, just that's what it is.
Your name's Darby?
Darby, yeah.
I'm Carolyn. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having us. How often do you have these specific ones?
This is a monthly meetup.
Oh, he's a speaker. This is your. Hi, I'm Carolyn. What's your name?
Sharon.
Nice to meet you, Sharon. Thanks so much for having us. I looked at the Capital. Yeah, it was on the Capital Factory website.
I didn't know where you you saw it. So, so we have a meetup. And if you
So right there, hey,
I think it might be.
Like meetup.com.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's,
Okay.
Yeah, you go back here for finding.
I'm excited. I think I put the other one on my calendar and I didn't know if, who was that. But you're going to share it?
Yeah. So nice to meet you. I'm sorry. Tara, you know what? I got to tell you what.
I mean,
Yeah, no, $8.
I like to have it when you do
Otherwise, you're gonna pay like $20.
$8 versus $20.
Then it'll take you to
We need the parking validation.
all the additional resources. When we came here, it's Gen AI resources.
So it's like additional supplemental.
Yeah, so if you go to that, just basically.
I don't know, so just someone things that are important to me.
We actually are very similar. I have an automation business myself. I utilize my email, honestly.
Let me get my LinkedIn code and we can exchange.
I know he didn't go over it so much, but I'm able to go right
Hey, Chaya, come on, man. You already got consulting. Come on, let's go.
Free consulting.
but yeah, leave
Give me your email. It should be an email. What's your phone number?
All right, so on hugging basis.
512. I'll be in touch with you. He's coming down. He's coming down. If you need to keep the guy down. So, I'll give you my number. It's
Demonstration, I'll shoot you over.
512.